How you doing, guys? Big McDanskull here again today. Sorry about that. I was a bit confused. I was trying to get the scenes to work, but for some reason scene one was not. There we go. Well, it's working now. Yeah. So I was going to say scene one isn't. Oh, I've just realised I've got to pay my council tax. I better pay that. It's on the fridge behind me there. So I've got to pay my council tax. But yeah, this is another episode of Sigmar Saturday. What a strange little introduction this has been to Sigmar Saturday for you. Let's just double check I'm live. It looks like I'm live. Yep, this is all very interesting for you. I know, I'm just double checking I'm live now. There we go. So I am live, and it is Saturday morning. It's 9:05 here in the UK. And yesterday, as the title of this live stream suggests, I had my first ever game of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and my initial thoughts are, it's really easy, but it's still complex enough to, I think, to keep most gamers' attention. The 4-page rule set is so simple that after, a couple of turns, right, let's go back, let's backtrack. I'm backtracking. So, yesterday I went to Warhammer World because I was meeting Kablam's there. I was meeting Craig there. And I tried to book a table for us on the Thursday. I phoned up on the Thursday, tried to book a table. They had no tables left. So I just realised there's a chat as well, so I'm just going to do a pop-out chat thing. No one's on, so that's alright. Yeah, so they had no tables left because it's Good Friday, it's a bank holiday weekend. All the tables are booked up, obviously. And yeah, so what we did, we went there, we got something to eat in Bugman's, we went round the miniature gallery museum thing. I can't remember what it's called now. The exhibition bit. It was a pound entry this Easter weekend. So you just pay £1 instead of the normal. I think it's £7.50 or something. And they were doing an Easter egg hunt as well, where you took pictures of eggs, one in each of the main rooms for the exhibition. And then you got a cream egg at the end, but we forgot to get our cream eggs on the way out because we're daft buggers. Yeah, so we had a really good time meeting each other, getting to know each other. It's the first time we've met each other. And then once we'd been around the exhibition centre and everything, we went back into Bugman's and had a couple of small games of Age of Sigmar. The first game, I had 2 units. What did I use now? My Blood Secretor, I think I used. The guy with the corn guy with the big portal of corn, the big circular, it looks like a banner sort of thing, or an icon. And the other unit I used was some Blood Reavers. And Craig used his Smegway guy that he's converted. I don't know what his units were, so you'll have to forgive me here. I think the Smegway guy is a Plague Priest, but I'm not entirely sure. And he used some Plague Monks, I think. Might be wrong. He was playing Skaven anyway. That's as much as I know, really. And he won the first game. The Skaven put out a lot more damage than I thought they would. I thought, I don't know what I was expecting with the Skaven, but I've always kind of looked at them and thought, they don't look very good, the miniatures and that. So I think I just kind of assumed that the rules for them wouldn't be good as well for some reason. But yeah, that's me just being crazy and jump into conclusions. Yeah, so first game, Craig won. But it was a lot of fun to play, getting to learn the rules and stuff. And we played about 3 turns in the first game, I think, before he had killed all of my forces. And he had like 3 units and I had 2 units, so it was a really small game, that game. We tried to match up point levels as well, using the points from the General's Handbook. I think that was about 180 points or something like that. And then in the next game we played at something like 390 points, if I'm not mistaken, where I had the Mighty Lord of Khorne, the Blood Secretor, the Blood Stoker, and a unit. Wow, my hand looks really clear. Sorry, it's like I'm on drugs or something. Wow, a hand. The Blood Secretor, Blood Stoker, Mighty Lord of Khorne, and the armoured guys that I've got one painted. What are they called? The Blood Warriors. So 5 of the Blood Warriors. And Craig added to his force an artillery piece. Dreadclaw might be called. Oh, that's a drop pod, isn't it? A Chaos drop pod thing. It might be a Dreadclaw. It might be a Plague Claw, maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of plague things going on in Clan Pestilence, isn't there? So that game, it lasted a little bit longer, that game, and there was a little bit more involved in it. And the mighty hordes of Khorne, the thing that makes Khorne, the Khorne Bloodbound good, I thought in the 2 games I played, is the heroes. Like, the heroes are monstrous, like in combat and stuff. They put out a lot of attacks. The Mighty Lord of Khorne's got 7 attacks. He's got 3 himself, and then he's got 4 from his dogs. He also can buff other units that are within 3 other units that are within 24 inches of him. What was it? Did they get 1 more attack or something? I can't remember. But yeah, like these rules, 4 pages of rules. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 pages of rules. You think that's too simple a rule set? It's not it's not complex enough for it to be an interesting game. But the thing is, after a turn or 2 turns of the first game we played, we rarely looked at this, because the rules are all sort of rules you see in other war games. So it's just remembering, like, if you're used to playing 40k, like me, then you might do things a slightly different way around in certain parts. But yeah, it's easy to learn these rules. I think most people could learn these rules, even like young kids. Well, I remember when I first started playing, it was 2nd edition 40k, and we found it hard to learn the rules for that, very hard. I found it hard anyway. I didn't really. I played like 2 or 3 games when I was a kid, and I don't think we played it right. And it kind of got me a bit unenthused for the hobby, and then I fell away from the hobby for a good 17 years or something. And then, so we played this, and I think a kid, like anyone down to the age of about 6, 7, 8, could probably learn these rules. They're really simple. The thing that makes the game more complex is the tactics and the buffs that certain units give other units. For example, the Blood Stoker, this guy, he can whip up a frenzy or something. What's the rule called? Whipped to fury, whipped to fury. His ability is called. That's what it is, an ability. So, in your hero phase, pick 1 friendly unit with the Khorne keyword that is within 12 inches of this model. Until the next hero phase, you can add 3 inches to all run and charge rolls for that unit, and can reroll wound rolls of 1 for models from that unit. I didn't even see that second little bit to the rule about rerolling wound rolls of 1. The game may have been over even quicker, the second game, if I'd noticed that, actually. So it's the hero's abilities to buff other units that really makes the game interesting, and putting certain units near other units. And it's not even like some units that aren't heroes or aren't leaders, even they get things to do in the hero phase to buff other units. Some of his, again, you'll have to forgive me, but some of his, I think the Plague Monks were adding buffs to other units, like rerolls to hit and stuff like that, or maybe extra attacks. And then some interesting rules with, like, if one of his Plague Monks, I think it's Plague Monks, if one of them was killed, on a roll of, you roll a dice, and on a roll of a 6, it gives one of my unit within, let's say, I don't know the exact rule, but let's say an inch. I could get this up on my phone, couldn't I? Because I've got the Age of Sigmar app on my phone, but for some reason I'm not doing. I'm just playing it by ear. yeah, so when I killed one of his plague monks, it might explode and then infect one of my units, and it gives it a mortal wound. And for a mortal wound, you don't get to make any saves against that. You don't make a wounding roll or anything like that. It's an auto wound, so you lose a wound straight away. The interesting thing about that is, before I went into this Age of Sigmar game, I excuse me, just cleared my throat. Before I went into this game, I kind of assumed mortal wounds were basically instant death, because obviously I'm used to playing 40k. That's the experience I've got of wargaming, so I kind of thought a mortal wound would cause instant death. It's the same, it's the equivalent, but there's very few things that cause instant death. There's no actual instant death rule in Age of Sigmar. I do have a weapon on my Mighty Lord of Khorne, this fella. And it's his reality splitting axe, and that can cause instant death on a if you do an unsaved wound. I really should just put bookmarks or post-its or something in here. Let's find it now for you. Yeah, so the Mighty Lord of Khorne, reality splitting axe. At the end of the combat phase, roll a dice for each enemy model that suffered one or more wounds inflicted by the Axe of Khorne in this phase, but was not slain. On a roll of 5 or more, the axe cleaves a rent in the fabric of reality, hurling the victim to Khorne's realm. The model being rolled for is slain. So that's an instant death weapon, basically. Which, there's all sorts of different mechanics in the game. I was always open to the idea of Age of Sigmar, let me say. I'm not saying I told you so or anything, because I didn't tell you so. I was just open to the idea of it. The models were what enthused me about it at first, with all these Stormcast models coming out. I still prefer the aesthetic of 40k models, but Age of Sigmar models now, they're becoming more appealing to me. Each new ones they do. I'm not a massive fan of these Caradron Overlords, I have to say, but it's more the big ball thing and I don't know what the character's called, but the character with a big hat, I think he looks absolutely terrible. And the flying ships with the big balls, I think they'd look better with something other than these big balls. I do kind of like the commando looking guys that have got a couple of hatchets or something. I really like them. And there's some good character models in there, but not the floating guys. They're the ones that really turn me off that faction. But yeah, just because it's not to my taste doesn't mean it's not to everyone's taste. So all the new models, they are making me more enthused about Age of Sigmar, and so I was always open to the idea of giving Age of Sigmar a try. It's more complex than the 4-page rule set suggests, for the simple reason that there are still a lot of rules in the game, but the rules are all available for free on the War Scrolls. And the great thing about the War Scrolls is they're there in front of you when you need them. You just refer back to them. It's not, there's not a massive fluff section on the War Scrolls or anything like that. You just find the bit of writing that you need. The War Scrolls at most have maybe 6-7 paragraphs on, but they're small paragraphs and they're all clearly separate, so it's easy to find, and they've all got like a little heading as well, so it's easy to find the rule you need. And because the rule book is so small, it's 4 pages, that enables you to remember the rules of your faction a lot easier. With something like 40k, you try to remember what all these special rules are, which is Bazza's online now. How you doing, Bazza? So yeah, you try to remember all these special rules in 40k, all the movement rules, all the shooting rules. Green Stuff Games is online. How you doing, mate? Shooting rules and everything, and therefore you've got less room in your brain for the rules for your army. So you try to remember all the special rules for your army and everything like that, the stat lines for your army and everything. With the War Scrolls, it's a lot more simple. For each individual unit, the rules that they use are on the War Scroll, so you don't have to go to the special rules section that you would in let's say I've got the Adeptus Custodes Codex here. So let's look at the unit profile for one of them. So yeah, this is the way it's set out in 40k. So you've got your unit profile, you've got tables that you refer to in the rulebook to hit and to wound, and then you've got the special rules section here, and the war gear as well here. Now the special rules, all it says is the title of the special rule, and then you've got to refer to the main rulebook if you're not sure what that special rule does. The war gear as well, it says the name of the war gear, and then you've got to flick to the right page in your codex or in the rulebook to find the profile of that war gear. Whereas on a war scroll, the difference is here's your weapons. So for the prosecutors, you get the celestial hammers, you get them as a missile weapon and a melee weapon, and then it's got the to hit and to wound rolls all over here. So it's all in one place. Any special rules? The prosecutor prime gets 3 attacks rather than 2 in melee. It says they can fly, and abilities, which are effectively special rules, are over here. It's all on one war scroll, all on one page. So you're not flicking from between books from page to page. Let's have a look in the chat. Baz is saying something. Yeah, Baz is good. He's just chilling before a nice 12-hour shift. Fantastic, mate. Good luck with that. I'm glad I'm not working this weekend, especially not in a supermarket. That'd be. I've done it before, and it's hell sometimes. You close for a day, and all of a sudden, the day before you close, vroom, busy. Yeah. So like I said, the war scrolls are so much simpler than the data slates or whatever you call them in 40k. So that just makes the game so much easier to, so much more. It runs more smoothly basically because you're not flicking from book to book, from page to page to find the right rules. Whenever I play with my mate, 40k, what would be like a 1,000-point game, for example, might take 2 experienced 40k players. Might take them an hour and a half, 2 hours to play. For me and my mate, it takes at least twice that time. So you're looking at 4 hours, 5 hours maybe sometimes for a 1,000-point game, and that's kind of ridiculous because there's not many units on the table at that size. There's not many models on the table most of the time, aside from the fact that I play orcs and you can get a lot of models on the table. I tend to try and take the more elite units, so there's not too many models on the table, and it's tougher to remember how to play 40k. So I'm hoping, although this is Sigmar Saturday, I'm hoping, I was speaking to Craig about this yesterday, I'm hoping that when they do bring out 8th edition, sorry, I'm just reading the chat. So Green Stuff Games is excited about the Space Dwarves. I'm guessing by that he means the what are they called? Caradron Overlords, that's what they're called. Yeah, so what was I saying now? Yeah, I'm hoping when 8th edition comes, 40k, they're saying there's going to be 3 ways to play. There's organised play, there's everything like that. Basically they're saying there's going to be 3 ways to play. I can't remember what the ways to play are, but I'm hoping there's going to be a really simplified rule set to use. So people like me who don't play that often can just pick it up, have a game, and then go at it. Basically, like me and Craig did at Warhammer World yesterday. I say at Warhammer World in Bugman's yesterday with Age of Sigmar, because we used. We both used like 4 or 5 units in the second battle, and it took us maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that. It wasn't long at all. Once it's kind of a bit simpler because once you get into melee with units, you kind of don't want to retreat out of that because then you can't do anything next turn and you'll just get charged again. Or it's so there's. Yeah, it's just a much simpler game, so it's much more easy to play. Let's have a look what's going on in the chat. So, Green Stuff Games is waiting for his Space Dwarves on the GW website. Baz is saying, yeah, good on my first game on Thursday. but loved the atmosphere there. Yeah, I saw on Baz's Wargaming Mafia page, I think, on Facebook, he said he had was it a game of 40k, Bazza? I think it was. I can't remember. Yeah, it was, because he said he was going to take his Necrons next time or something like that. Can't remember what you took this time, Bazza. But yeah, I remember you saying you had a good time, so that's fantastic stuff. Ooh, right, guys. Well, this Sigmar Saturday is about done, I think. And for anyone watching this later, I hope you enjoy it and get past my strange little intro that I did at the start. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks very much for joining me in the chat, Bazza and Green Stuff Games. Again, it's always you two that join me in the chat. You must always be free at the same time as I am. So thanks very much for watching. Thanks very much for joining me. And I just remembered I have to close the stream, don't I? Yeah, so I'm going to start again with that. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks very much for joining me.